whether they're getting chemo or not, or you're working with a holistic practitioner, if you are in a place of we're still trying to beat this, the best thing you can do is imagine yourself on the Oprah show talking about your miracle animal.
Oh, that's a good idea. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, my clients who do that, their animals live a lot longer than the vets ever told them they would.
A lot longer. A
Yeah.
lot
And then
longer.
the people who think, no, 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 my animal's dying, this isn't going to work, their animals really move. They they die pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly. Rachel and I had a conversation just the other day on my show, and it was all about how what you have in your house right now can be really hurting your animals. And we don't have time to go into a full on, blowout explanation. But I would love it if you would it was such an eye opener for me. I really didn't know all the information that Rachel has on this. Could you just give them maybe a snippet of
Sure.
what it does, what you're talking about, the products you're talking about, the most common ones, and then kind of how it's affecting them? And
Totally.
then, yeah, I
Yeah.
think it'd
Yeah.
be
People,
valuable.
yeah. People say to me all the time, what can I do? And I say, get the stinky stuff out of your house. And when I'm saying stinky stuff, I mean maybe your toxic emotions, your depression, your anxiety, but
Hmm.
then the man-made stinky products, which are, toxic cleaners, anything that comes with fragrance, candles, potpourri, incense, all of that, it's extremely detrimental to their health. Glade plugins, a lot of veterinarians are even talking about this now. We know that Glade plugins and toxic cleaners and fragrance candles are linked to cancer in our animals.
Wow.
And so our animals, they smell way better than we do. I mean, they can smell emotions. We can't. So,
Right.
so, humans have 10 million neuron receptors in their brain associated with smell. A cat has 80 million and a dog has 400 million. So I mean, imagine how strong these things smell to us. I have somebody I live in an apartment building who burns a scented candle. I have no idea on 3 floors where that candle is being burned because I can smell it equally as strong on all 3 levels. I
Wow.
worry every time I smell that there is an animal living in that apartment because it is so toxic. Fragrance are so toxic. They're hormone disruptors. And if hormones are being disrupted, there's no new cell growth can happen. And no new cell growth means cancer cells.
Not good.
So you are triggering their nervous system and breaking things down in their body just by smelling it. And you think about where Glade plugins are plugged in, they're plugged in right at their level, they're breathing them in. And a lot
Yep.
of times when animals are really super sick, uh, it's often you go into the house, they are burning a lot of incense. And we know that incense damages DNA. You don't want damaged DNA in you or your animals.
Mm-mm, no.
And the wicks are often made of lead. Most wicks are made of lead. All are, unless they say otherwise, but it's very rare to see that. So not only are you burning fragrance, which is a hormone disruptor, you're also burning lead in your house.
Wow.
And yeah, and cleaners are anything toxic. You think your animals, if you're using a Swiffer jet or anything like that, walking through it, you're moving it over the floor, your animals walk through it. Even if it's not wet, they're walking over it and then they lick and groom their paws.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you do want to keep all of that away from really you as well and them. But when animals go to the vet and have a really unusual diagnosis, you and I talked about like a 4-year-old Chihuahua that's in, final stages of heart failure. That's not normal.
No,
A
not at all.
Chihuahua at 4 years old shouldn't be in final stages of heart failure. Whenever I hear stuff like that, it always leads back to really stinky stuff in the house. And the other area where I see that is when animals are really sick, but the vet can't give a diagnosis. And
Mm.
so a lot of times vets will say there's something neurological happening with the animal. Well, it's not neurological. They're poisoned.
So we need to look at fragrance free. Is
Yeah,
that right?
fragrance free.
Fragrance
Always
free?
buy fragrance free. That's really the first best step. I mean, there's other toxic chemicals, but if if nothing else, do fragrance free. And, and that that is really going to be super beneficial. I mentioned a documentary to you, and I'll mention it again here really quickly. It's called Stink. It goes into this much, much more deeply. It's on Netflix. There's a website. It's in different platforms, but it's called the Stink documentary. And he goes in deep, deep, deep into the science behind it and why it's so toxic. If people want to learn more, they can reach out to me later as well.
Absolutely. And we're going to have all the links to reach Rachel in the show notes. We are getting super low on time, but I do want to ask you this last question, which is how do we heal the body or put cancer into remission without using any Western drugs or chemo? How can we help them?
Totally.
And
it's a great question. Yeah, people ask that all the time. How can you put animals into remission without chemo? You need to get the brain and the body to start communicating with one another. You need to build up the immune system. And how we can do that is by getting the brain to release endorphins, serotonin, dopamine. And how do we do that? We do that through relaxation and happiness and joy, but really think relaxation. So if you can get the body relaxed enough that the muscles relax, the blood becomes oxygenated. And with oxygenated blood, the body is able to absorb nutrients more efficiently from food and medication they're on. Their stomach is going to create digestive enzymes. The body, the hormones start to regulate, the body detoxes, and new cell growth happens. That's called the physiological relaxation response. And this is what doctors try and get triggered in you when you go to them with pain, because you can't heal if you're in pain. And this is what builds up the immune system. And so really, when anybody is sick, always just think, how can I get them to relax? How can I get, it's that will to live. How can I bring happiness into the situation? How can I bring relaxation into the situation? And you'll be able to trigger that response in the body. And that's actually why CBD oils are all the craze right now, because they do that as well.
Right. That is all the craze. I see it everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah. It triggers that response in the body in the same way that an Advil or a Percocet would. But depending on the pain level is really going to depend on how much you need or don't need, in the same way the doctor asks you on a scale of 1 to 10, where is your pain level? They're asking you not because they're like, oh, I'm so sad, I really want to know. They're asking because they need to know.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we can do that with our animals as well.
So we are almost out of time, Rachel. I love to know, I always ask this question, what information would you like to leave with the listeners or have them know about their pets?
You're in a symbiotic relationship. And when you're doing really well, they're going to do well. And the more you can tap into your own joy and happiness, the healthier your animals will be for it. They're connected to you.
Yeah. It's just like they want to give us support like we want to give them support. It's the same exact thing, right? If they don't feel good, we want to help them. It's the same way. They want to help us as well. So
exactly. That's why your cat's like, hey, I've been doing the Zoomies all morning. When are you going to join me?
Exactly.
I got the sparkle balls. Let's play.
And by the way, my husband tells me all the time when I'm sitting there doing work and he's, I'm on my computer and the dog's right next to me. He says, there have been studies that say that, the dogs get really upset because you're not paying attention to them. I'm like, I totally believe that. I got to do a few things, but I totally believe that. So then now I try to make myself shut down. So
totally. That's really, your husband knows. He knows.
Well, Rachel is awesome, as always. It's awesome to talk with you. Rachel Augusta, she is a holistic animal practitioner. She works, by the way, she doesn't have to be in front of your animal. She can do it over the phone. She can just, I don't even know how you do that, but you tap in. How do you do that? You just tap into their...
I just find them on the ethereal plane. Yep, I've got clients all over in Lithuania and all over the world, actually.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah. And I will have all of her social media up in the link so that you can reach her. She is a holistic animal practitioner, certified healing touch for animals, and advanced proficiency practitioner. It's what she does. She's amazing. She rocks. And if you're having any issues with your animals, please reach out to her. So thank you for being here, Rachel. I love talking with you always, as always. And remember, stay present, step into your power, and never give up on your dreams. If you have any questions, comments, or would like to know more about a guest on our show, please contact me at jsalant5@outlook.com. That's J-S as in Sam, A-I-L-L-A-N-T as in Tom, 5@outlook.com. And remember, stay present, step into your power, and never give up on your dreams.